Meet Peter Scott Morgan.
Where do you want me?
He suffers from motor neurone disease, the incurable illness that killed the scientist Stephen Hawking.
I looked at my legs and they really were withered.
But Peter has a plan.
Think of it as a science experiment.
He'll save his life by turning himself into the world's first cyborg, part man, part machine.
This is groundbreaking.
We can move forward what people see as the current state of the art.
Here is my new interface.
For 2 years, we've filmed Peter as he experiments with radical surgery, high-tech engineering, and artificially intelligent computers. He hopes to change the future for disabled people. But if he fails, he dies.
Who would have thought that trying to cheat death was a full-time job?
Tor Bay, South Devon, where Peter Scott Morgan lives with his husband, Francis.
Good morning. Are you awake?
Cold November day 2016, I had a lovely long hot soak in the bath, did what I have done all my life, which is as I get out of the bath, you shake your foot to get the water off. And it wouldn't happen. It was very, very strange. After a series of tests, I was diagnosed with motor neurone disease, a horrific, cruel disease.
You got it?
MND destroys the nerve cells that control muscles.
Sure. Really, really sure. Okay.
Already, Peter has lost the use of his legs. His arms are going too.
Good morning.
It takes a carer 3 hours to get him out of bed in the morning. As his paralysis inexorably spreads upwards, Peter will lose his ability to eat and breathe.
Honest,
His brain will be fully alert, but locked in to his starving, suffocating body.
Being locked in is not ideal. It's not what I planned or wanted. It is what it is.
It is a shock. It is, how do we deal with this? And I've shed a tear. I've felt, how on earth am I going to, you feel alone, you feel very afraid watching him deteriorate. It's traumatic.
Usually the only person that people have heard of with motor neurone disease is Stephen Hawking.
Medicine has not been able to cure me, so I rely on technology to help me communicate and live.
I met him briefly once. The most important thing, I'm absolutely convinced, Stephen Hawking said, is focus on what you can do, not on what you can't. Because if you focus and get frustrated and grieve too much, because that's what it feels like, you're grieving for all the life, all the things you could do, that is psychologically corrosive.
Like Hawking, Peter is a pioneering scientist with an absolute faith in science.
My whole science education when I was young was Doctor Who and Star Trek.
When he has served his purpose, he, like the others, will be eliminated.
Peter's fascination with Daleks led to a PhD in robotics at London's prestigious Imperial College. He wrote a book titled The Robotics Revolution and became a science communicator.
One of the most important things I learned was that any problem could be solved if you were bright enough, brave enough, and if you had access to really, really cool technology. So I came up with this idea to throw the rule book out, bring technology in, try to make life, not just for me, but for everybody with MND, transform.
First, Peter will avoid starvation by having his stomach replumbed so nutrients are piped in automatically. To prevent suffocation, he'll breathe through a tube that emerges at the base of his throat. Now mute, he'll have a synthetic voice that sounds exactly like him, expressing all Peter's feelings instantly, because the computer controlling his voice is plugged into his mind. His paralyzed and expressionless face will be hidden, replaced with a hyper-realistic avatar. With a powerful exoskeleton encasing his useless upper body, he'll be stronger than ever. A self-drive vehicle will hold him upright, so he'll tower over purely flesh and blood humans.
Nice to meet you. There is no technology that I would not consider. This is cyborg territory, and I intend to be a human guinea pig to see just how far we can turn science fiction into reality.
It's less than a year since Peter's diagnosis. He's beginning his transformation into a cyborg, becoming part human, part machine. There's no time to waste. MND is paralyzing him. He needs help to eat and go to the lavatory.
Actually, I don't particularly like the idea of being toileted. That's a perfect opportunity to throw a bit of engineering at it.
Nice room.
Lovely.
This will be your suite for next week.
Yeah.
Peter wants to have a tube that runs directly into his intestine. It will pump in nutrients. There'll also be a tube each for liquid and solid waste. He's managed to persuade the NHS to perform this innovative operation.
Brilliant. Take that, thrombosis.
You're not going to expect this treatment when you get home, are you?
Operating on a patient with MND is dangerous.
Come in.
Before he goes under the knife, Peter is visited by anaesthetist Marie Wright.
But obviously, as I said to you the other day, there are risks along the way. So tell me what you remember from the risks that I talked about.
As I remember it, frankly, there's not that many people with MND that have major surgery. And so
That's
there's
right.
not as much research for us to fall back on.
That's right.
But what we do know is that the very process of you going in, using clever drugs, basically to interfere with my nerves,
Yep.
but my nerves are already not acting normally, that it actually accelerates the MND itself.
That's right. Good stuff. Great.
Thanks.
See you tomorrow.
Wonderful.
You can't help but be impressed by the way that he wants to take control.
Lovely. And again. Lovely.
For patients with MND where the situation generally is very bleak, Peter's solution is cutting edge. So I think this is groundbreaking, and he is a pioneer.
We don't quite know how to minimize all the risks, but that's okay, because whatever happens, we will learn from it and we will do it better the next time. So from that point of view, think of it as a science experiment.
No, you're not a scientist, remember, you're a very naughty boy. That's
Okay,
right.
right,
No.
okay.
Stop talking, you've got to go.
Thanks, guys.
Best of luck.
Come to take you for your surgery?
Excellent. Yes, please.
Thank you.
While Peter undergoes his pioneering and risky surgery, Francis is told to wait by the phone. He and Peter have been together for 40 years.
First time I met Peter, it was actually a very strange day. I just heard a friend of mine had been murdered by queer bashers. So I was feeling rather despondent, and then behind me came in this vision. I think he was nearly 21, so still illegal, with his tight trousers on, flowing hair, big white teeth, and suddenly all of my woes went away. I love at first sight. I know it sounds stupid, but it was kind of romantic, and I found him at a good time. Hello.
Hello, is that Scott Morgan's partner?
It is.
Hello, it's Mr. Kennedy.
Hi.
So, I'm doing fine, thank you, and so is Peter, actually.
Brilliant.
We've finished the operation.
Oh, well done. Wonderful.
Yes, the operation went extremely smoothly, actually. I was very pleased with it.
Oh, great. That's so kind of you to give me a call. That's really reassuring.
Here is my new interface. So I have fluids in, solids in, output number 1, output number 2. It's brilliant. I'm set for life. I don't know why everyone doesn't get one of these. Oh, the knifophia, good grief. Just since I've been in hospital.
2 weeks later, Peter is back home, having safely completed the first stage of his transformation into a cyborg.
Thank you, darling. Wonderful to be home.
Wonderful to have you.
What I'm doing now is just habit. Growing up openly gay in the 70s taught me to think for yourself. I got very used to not feeling that I had to fit, because for a long time the world was telling me you really, really don't fit. After 40 years of breaking the rules, still I'm saying, why do it the way that it's always been done before? Let's try something different.
The next stage of Peter's transformation will require ingenious machinery. Despite his paralyzed legs, he intends to stand. Peter has approached the engineers behind one of the world's most advanced wheelchairs. They claim to have a device that will give Peter the ability to stand.
Intellectually, I understood that people who were disabled can have a rough time just fitting into the environment. So now I'm in a wheelchair. Now I get it. And it's incredibly difficult. Very, very good to see you. Even in hospitals, where you go in and I'm in a wheelchair, I look over this towering reception desk, a lovely face smiles, and then looks to Francis and just break eye contact.
Then we can just tilt the chair and maybe.
So this is a very, very important test.
There you go, so if you just push that forward.
Here we go. Okay, strange feelings. I am doing nothing. I am absolutely relaxing my muscles. I am completely flopping, and yet I am standing. Good grief. I am unprepared for the emotion of not only being able to look down on people, for heaven's sake, it's not even just looking in the eye, but of being able to relax in a standing position. It is quite extraordinary. It really is. Just being able to stand and look around. It's amazing. It really is.
Peter Scott Morgan is about to make a video call crucial to his transformation into a cyborg.
Hello, Dr. Aylett. How very, very wonderful at last to talk to you.
Edinburgh-based computer scientist Matt Aylett makes synthetic voices.
One of the big problems when I email to people who are locked in is they say of all the faculties that they lost, speech was the worst. Yeah. The most traumatic, the one that made them feel most disabled. It is impossible, even if they use text-to-speech, they aren't communicating their personality, they're not able to communicate emotion.
But changing the voice quality is really hard, and the sheer magic and flexibility of the human voice is just incredible.
Working with Peter is a great opportunity because I know if we work closely with someone who's really got the motivation to make these things work, we can move forward what people see as the current state of the art.
Peter is determined not to sound robotic, but human.
I really want, when I'm locked in, to be able to sound a bit like me and actually convey some of the emotion and hopefully gain a bit of the empathy from people that I can in my current state. Without that, I think I'd feel very, very isolated.
Before Matt attempts to clone Peter's voice, he'll need some raw material. So Peter spends weeks in a recording studio, speaking in as many different ways as he can think of.
Very good to meet you too.
Ready?
We're working flat out. Really? Really? Really?
Our voice betrays our emotions, it gives access to our motivations, it tells us where we're from, it says all sorts of things about us. And when you're starting to clone that voice, at the moment we have a massive challenge of trying to reproduce that broad use of the voice.
The scientific terminology for that is complete bollocks.
Having sent many hours of recordings to Matt Aylett, Peter turns his attention to another challenge. When he's locked in, Peter won't just be mute, he'll be unable to move a finger to type out the words he wants his cyborg to say. He hopes to solve this by having his cyborg's communication system connected directly to his mind. What's called a brain-computer interface, or BCI. Peter takes a virtual trip to Albany, New York, and the Center for Medical Science, in search of this futuristic technology.
Hello there!
Hi, Peter.
Nice to meet you.
Really good to meet you.
So maybe you want to...
Neuroscientist Gervin Schulk has agreed to conduct an experiment to see if a BCI will help Peter's cyborg speak.
Can you see the electrodes, Peter?
Yes, indeed. The white electrodes.
The electrodes in this skull cap sense brainwaves.
Open your eyes.
Gervin has devised a way to turn those electrical signals into words.
Peter, you can pick something for Alex to spell.
Well, why not P for Peter? If you can do that, that would be very impressive.
When the wearer sees a letter he's looking for highlighted on screen, the skull cap's electrodes sense his brain's reaction.
So that whole process took, about 3 minutes maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, 3 minutes, and he spelled exactly what you asked for.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much.
Using a BCI, Peter would manage little more than a word per minute, but humans speak at about 250 words per minute. Peter's cyborg would struggle to hold a conversation. It's a major setback.
All of that fantastic research is like this alluring promise of what is possible, but not for me. I'm going to have to find a different route that works for people who are locked in. And at the moment, I don't quite see how we're going to do it.
This is not something Peter can do alone. Firing off emails from his home in Torbay, he reaches out to some of the world's leading scientists and engineers.
There are bits that are missing. I don't know who some of the companies might be that can fill those gaps. All the things that I'm asking to be done have never been done before. But I feel I will have a long time to regret that I did not push with every fibre of my being to try and get as much done as possible before I head into that void.
It's over a year since Peter's diagnosis. MND is beginning to paralyse his chest. He's struggling to get air into his lungs. So he's trying to sleep in a breathing mask.
Hello, sweetheart. Thank you.
Okay.
In the middle of the night, with my NIV mask on, I got a bit of phlegm somewhere around my throat shut, and I could not breathe.
That sound when somebody can't breathe of it's an awful sound, and yeah, I jumped out of bed and ripped his mask off, but nevertheless it was pretty awful. Good. No air escaping from anywhere? No? All right, darling. Thank you. Love you too, darling. Sleep tight. See you in the morning.
To see the way that my body is wasting away, it creeps up on you when you least expect it, and it sort of gets through a chink in your armour that you didn't even know was there. That's where I feel myself get close to tearful. I feel emotion welling up. I think the first time was when I looked at my legs, and they really were withered.
A few weeks later comes another critical test.
Good. Today I get to hear the voice that I will be using for the rest of my life for the very first time. So it's a big, big day.
Hello Peter, this is Peter, the first version of your new voice. This is you sounding sad. This is you sounding happy. This is you sounding cross. We hope this is good. Enjoy.
A little bit robotic, I think.
It's like, but I don't know what I sound like.
A little bit like that, but you know, to be honest, I think we could do better. His voice, he did put on a brave face, but at the end of the day, what we heard, we were hoping for a lot better. We'd hoped to be in a slightly better place than we are at the minute. I think a bit disappointing. Seems like we've got an awful lot more to do.
But time is running out. At the rate his MND is progressing, Peter may be completely locked in just a year from now.
Well done. I am ready. That clock keeps ticking away, and whether we get the design finished or not, whether we get it working or not, it's about as stressful as anything I've done in my career.
A little bit of physiotherapy, just to keep his spastic joints
bending.
Without this, during the night, I'd just be woken up all the time with spasms in my legs.
Lovely. Touchdown. Physically, it's more obvious that his muscles are wasting away. So yeah, it's a lot quicker than we thought. There you go. Sorry, Sooty. We were assuming that we wouldn't be here we were hoping for 2 or 3 years, maybe longer. But this is where we are.
I am so conscious that there is every risk that I end up with a really, really high-tech system that just does not work.
In late winter 2018, there are tough choices for Peter Scott Morgan.
I've got a code, so we've really got to be careful that Peter doesn't catch that code. So, I'll wear these. Simple.
He hasn't yet worked out how he will transform himself into a cyborg, but his MND now affects his entire upper body. He has difficulty feeding himself and breathing.
The progression of MND continues. You can probably tell my lung capacity is a lot lower. It sounds like I can't speak, but actually I just can't draw enough breath anymore.
And turn.
So, Peter decides to simplify the design of his cyborg. For now, he's shelving the exoskeleton and the autonomous capability of his vehicle. He's still hoping his electronic voice will sound like his lost biological one. That he'll have an avatar. It will now be displayed on a breastplate. Instead of a brain-computer interface, he'll type out what he wants to say. Not with his paralyzed fingers, but his eyes, using cameras that will track Peter's pupils as he looks at an interactive computer screen.
If I didn't have faith that technology is going to allow me not just to speak, but to interact as a human being, this would be a huge deal.
Put that in. All sorted.
All done.
Just have to clean up. Anything for dessert, sir?
I think that's great, thank you.
Okay. Can I take my mask off?
Yeah, thank the chef.
Okay.
The staff were great too.
Magnificent. So you can go through the water, it's all right, don't worry.
Peter takes a rare break from the hard work on his cyborg. He and Frances are celebrating a special day.
Happy anniversary, darling. Yes.
Have you won that?
Well, we've been together for 40 years nearly, so 13 is just only part of our life together.
That's when the law bothered to catch up.
We made it catch up.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten that bit.
Yeah, they were wrong and we were right.
On the 21st of December 2005, the very day it became legal for same-sex couples to enter civil partnerships, Peter and Frances were among the first to tie the knot.
It was a beautiful day, wasn't it? The sun was shining.
And we walked down the aisle with 5 of the family,
Yeah.
flower girls, and
Wonderful
it was
time,
brilliant.
isn't it? Wonderful time.
Every day you live, learn how to receive love with as much understanding as you give it.
So all in all, very good
Happy
memories.
memories.
Happy memories.
We took on the world and won then.
And we'll do
We're
it again
taking
now.
on the world and win again.
I don't know, you would have taken on the world every
It's
time.
something that is a hobby.
Then there's a massive breakthrough. Some major tech giants set up a joint research program into how to assist people who are locked in. In early 2019, a conference is held in London. Leading scientists fly in from all over the world. Peter will give the opening speech.
What is unique about what we are doing is that we are uniting under a common cause, aligning our combined powers to change things for extreme disability. We solve it.
Listening to Peter is Lama Nachman of Intel. She designed the communication system used by Stephen Hawking.
The technology that is now being developed to support the disabled is leading the way in breaking down the communication barriers which once stood in the way.
Reverse.
Peter has arranged to meet with Lama Nachman to talk about his latest idea. Laboriously typing out words with his eyes, his cyborg will talk very slowly, as Stephen Hawking did. So Peter wants his cyborg to have its own artificial intelligence. With this, it might speak so fast it can hold a conversation.
Apologies.
That's all right.
It's a very important social interaction with me. Chatting away. Sometimes it's slightly blue, puerile, silly, but it's what people who really got to know each other.
To stop it then, Peter.
That probably is the most precious to me and possibly the most authentic.
I mean, we've been focused a lot on the conversational aspect of this and enabling you to have a conversation with people. So I think what's really important here is to figure out a collaboration between the human and the AI. I mean, Stephen was very much into controlling every single word. At the other end of the spectrum, if you give all control to the AI system, then you're really not bringing your personality. It could be Alexa then.
Peter and Lama develop a bold plan. His cyborg's AI will speak for itself, but using words and phrases that it has learnt from Peter.
Something that is relevant and kind of sounds like what you would say, I think that is possible with AI.
You will all interact. It'll still be me, but it'll be a different me. And I will move on too.
I mean, it's just in the same way that if you work with an assistant, right? If you're going to tell them every single thing and how to do it, you can't be efficient at having that happen, right? If you're willing to give up that level of control, right, then there's much more that can be done.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bless you.
Peter leaves Lama having crossed a controversial frontier. To preserve his personality, he'll let an artificial intelligence control it. He'll truly be part human, part machine.
I'm a scientist. I believe in technology. I love pushing things to the limit to see what we can do, to see how we can change what it means to be human.
Peter Scott Morgan's technological transformation is approaching the point of no return.
That feels about right.
It's almost 2 years since he was diagnosed with motor neurone disease. The paralysis has now reached his neck. He's struggling to swallow and cough.
That's it. Keep straight.
So saliva, instead of going to his stomach, runs into his lungs and gathers there. This will eventually give him fatal pneumonia, unless he reroutes his throat, disconnecting his lungs from his mouth. After this laryngectomy, he'll breathe through a tube that emerges above his chest. But Peter will never speak again. The surgeon who's agreed to perform this radical operation is Philip Rees.
Hello.
Hello, Philip.
Good to see you again.
And you.
It starts off with a big old cut, as you can imagine. So from about there, round here to about there. I personally like where the stoma, the hole is. I make that separate from the the big incision.
Ah.
So I've never had a problem with that, and it heals nicely.
I feel more and more uncomfortable that the timing is excellent, because conveniently from that point of view everything is shutting down. We would not want to wait until the spring.
No, I don't think we can. Then it's the right thing to do. It's not. It isn't for everyone.
Of course not.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal to go through. I have, over the years, had a number of patients who would rather die of cancer than have laryngectomies.
Peter agrees to have the operation in just 3 months' time.
It is a lot to come to terms with. Just having a conversation is going to be very different.
I think it makes you value your relationship more because doors close more. And, you know, our challenge is to try to keep some open as much as we possibly can.
Up in Scotland, the cyborg's electronic voice is being created by computer scientist Matt Aylett. After a disappointing first attempt, Matt is aiming for a less robotic voice.
The biggest challenge with producing a clone voice is the sheer variation that people have when they use their own voices. Our voice is like a fantastic instrument, and the problem with variation in a voice is that's precisely the thing that makes it hard to copy it.
Just 2 months before Peter loses his voice, the clone is ready. In Torbay, some family gather to listen to a sample. Matt wants to show what the cloned voice is capable of.
Ready?
Prepare to look.
3, 2, 1.
So, without telling anyone, he's programmed it to do something Peter already can't: sing.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination.
Unbelievable.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it, want to change the world, there is nothing to it.
Amazing.
Well, oh my goodness, amazing. Quite emotional. Lost for words.
Amazing.
I think it just sounded right. That's your
Great,
voice.
yeah.
It's your voice.
Incredibly
clever.
Like, yeah. I mean, getting back something I never thought I would.
And its little housing there. So
Peter feels he's done all he can to give his cyborg the power of speech. He and Francis go into hospital for the final irreversible step: having Peter's biological voice removed.
Never.
Whatever? Yeah, okay.
It's a kind of odd combination of emotions, really, because obviously we're going to lose Peter's biological voice, which is horrible. It's not doing very well at the minute, I know. But on the other hand, it's a life-saving operation. You know, without this operation, he would not survive another winter.
Now I'm going to check the heart rate.
We have had an adult lifetime of loving a person who was always slightly changing. So this is just another version which is less common, but certainly just as human.
He could be a little more interesting as well. He could be a little more funny.
I know. It's all up there.
And if you speak slower, it gives me a chance to say something.
I know.
So there's a plus for all of these things.
People have said,
shut up talking. Stop talking.
Exactly.
Yeah, so now it's at a better pace, really.
I know.
Hopefully.
Why did we do this years ago?
Good night. See you tomorrow. I'll be here at 6:30.
Wonderful.
Well, between 6:30 and 9. So.
I know.
Come on then. So it'll be over in a minute. Hopefully. It's come round quick, isn't it? But you see, now, just think now from tomorrow, we can start planning with that behind us. The beginning of a very good new chapter. Yeah, it is.
Okay. That one's just to monitor your oxygen levels, alright? This one, yeah, left hand. Okay.
Okay, I've got the consent form.
Right. Would you like to tell us who you are?
I am Peter Morgan.
So on the consent form, it says total laryngectomy. Is that what you're having done?
I certainly hope so.
Good. So that's signed by Mr. Reese, the consultant there. And is that your signature there?
It's the best I can do.
So I'm giving you the chill out stuff, so you might start to feel a bit floaty.
You're going to come down this side, buddy. That's it.
Remember, people are thinking the last words are going to be.
I love you. Oh, why?
Love you too.
The operation to replumb Peter's throat is a success. He's now breathing well through the tube that emerges above his chest. But his communication system is still being developed, and he is mute.
It's the biggest challenge I've ever had to deal with, and I think you have as well, really. But I'm getting used to the silence, I'm getting used to the quiet. You know, that takes some doing after 40 years of Peter talking a lot. We're in as good a place as we could hope to be, given the situation, aren't we? Yeah.
It's the moment of truth. The technology Peter has been working towards since he was diagnosed is arriving. It has built-in life support, a communications computer, synthetic voice and avatar.
Do you want to give it a spin? I thought that was cool.
Peter hopes this will be a major breakthrough in living with extreme disability, giving him and all others who are locked in a brighter future.
Gets you up. Here goes. Up. We can have a look at the view.
It feels like I've woken up on another planet. So, what do you think we should do for the next couple of decades?
For the next couple of decades? Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? I mean...
Change the world.
Again? Oh, all right.
After 3 intense years, Peter's sci-fi vision is at last becoming reality.
From the very beginning, Francis and I always knew that this was a journey. Not just for us, also for absolutely everyone who feels trapped in their bodies. It is all right to feel scared. It comes with being human. We can each be far stronger than we ever believe. We can fight our fears, and progress will then accelerate. I am increasingly turning into a full cyborg, and adding more and more AI will simply make me even more of a cyborg. I will never stop being human, but maybe I will help to change what it means to be human. It is a hugely exciting time to be alive. Now is not the end of anything. Now is when the fun begins.